Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Market Wrap. So I am finally back in Philly. It was a long but really fun few weeks traveling, but I actually missed Philly. Labor Day weekend is now upon us and the unofficial end of summer. It was definitely the most fun summer I've had in years, and now it's the time for the NFL and to see what my Giants can do this year. So 3 watches I love this week, and the first one is one of my all-time favorites. It's a Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar Chronograph. Now this version is the 5270p. I love the size, I love the cleanness of the dial, I love the day-night indicator, and that salmon dial is just amazing. Now we're seeing fewer and fewer of these come into the market over the last year. I think this is just one of the best Pateks ever made. Now the second piece this week is a Jaeger-LeCoultre, the Q4138-420. Now this is their new calendar chronograph. Now this is the newest master chronograph, features a complete calendar. I love the little touches of red on the dials. The 40 millimeters is a perfect size for me. I think it's an exceptional piece. Like most Jaegers, it's an amazing value at under $14,000. And the last piece this week is one Rolex, but really a special Rolex. This is the white gold Rainbow. Now, Rolex doesn't do grand complications, but they do make some of the craziest jeweled pieces, and the Rainbow is one of my favorites. Now, John Mayer took to Instagram last week showing his Rainbow. Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, Ed Sheeran all wear Rainbow variations. The white gold is my favorite. I love the color pop. I think this is one of the most amazing Rolexes made today. So it's great to be back in the studio, back in Philly, and this week we have Geneva Watch Days happening in Switzerland. Now for those of you not familiar with Geneva Watch Days, it's an event, or loosely called a show, of individual vendors showing new introductions. Last year's was canceled, but this year it's back, and there are some interesting pieces to see. Now first of all, Ulysse Nardin introduced a new annual calendar chronograph, 44 millimeters, the Marine, a cool round pusher, 2-register look that I just love. It's limited to 300 pieces, blue dial, white dial, and at 12.1 I think it's a great value. Now UN has been struggling over the past few years. I think this is a great new introduction for them. I also think it's quality and distinctive look of the product. I really like this particular piece from them. The second piece I loved is from Moser. Now yes, everybody knows WatchBox do love our Moser, but this is an expansion of their popular Streamliner collection. Now, we have a Streamliner Perpetual, not your typical Perpetual with lots of wheels and displays, but really a classic Moser, very clean dial layout, with the Perpetual displayed by a tiny red hand in the center. I love the 4 o'clock crown position, the touch of color on the track. It's not a limited edition, but with most Streamliners, it will be produced in small numbers. I expect it'll be a big hit for Moser collectors. So Bulgari had a number of new introductions. The first one is an Octo Roma World Timer. Now I love the Octafinissimos. I think Bulgari's done some great pieces over the last few years and really have got on the map as being a real watchmaker. But I'm not a huge fan of this particular Roma. Its case is a little thicker. The World Timers from Patek I've always loved, but this particular version I'm not sure that I'm that in love with. I think it's one of the things that with daylight savings time changing all the time, more and more countries not following it, about half the year it's not going to be exactly right. And I also think the Finissimo being much thinner, wearing under the wrist is just beautiful. Now, I do think it's a great value. They priced it at $83.50, so it certainly has a reason to live, but not my favorite Bulgari. Now, the new intro I did love from Bulgari is a Gerald Genta. Now, Bulgari bought Genta in 2000, and now they're saying going forward, it'll be a brand on its own. They introduced a Gerald Genta Retro Mickey. Now, Genta made Mickey famous back in the late 90s, early 2000s, doing a very high-end piece. This is kind of a reintroduction of the elevated Mickey. I love this piece. It's a 150-piece limited edition. I think it's just an awesome addition to the line. And the last, but certainly not least of my favorites, was a collaboration from MB&F and LePay. Now, they've done a partnership for a number of years. I think Max Buser is one of the most creative people in this business, and I have a major love for LePay since my dad was a collector of their carriage clocks when I was growing up. Now, this particular piece kind of is a great continuation. It's an orb, but in the same feeling as Balthasar, Mallard Sherman, and the like. If you love watchmaking and cool design, this is definitely one you're going to love. Now, I love to read and I often enjoy Hodinkee, but this week they had an article that seriously made me crack up laughing. So they were introducing Parmigiani's new Tondo collection and how it was the start of something seriously exciting. Now, Parmigiani has been struggling as a brand for a number of years. Word on the street, it was being offered for sale. And I have to be honest, but I really don't believe anybody except Hodinkee is excited about a new Tondo. Now, the only thing I loved about the watch was that they removed Parmigiani from the dial. Apparently, no one noticed it's a Parmigiani. It just says PF now. And anyone thinking of spending $171,000 on a Parmigiani Platinum Chrono is probably just a touch crazy, as the secondary market has made it clear that despite making fine quality products, the secondary market on Parmigiani watches is just awful. Now, the last piece of news this week was a press release about us at WatchBox and that we acquired a majority stake in the brand De Bethune. Now, WatchBox has been a huge fan of Denny and Pierre for years, and our love for independence has been well known, and the investment will allow a small brand to properly be capitalized and hopefully continue to produce amazing pieces for years to come. We are very excited to be just a small part of this great brand and look forward to working with them in the future. So that was this week's Market Wrap. Look forward to seeing you again next week.